this building there, which is the current Foundling Museum. That was built in the 1930s to house the interiors that were saved.
Right. Okay.
So when you went into that building, I'll go through it in a minute and explain how it works. This was purpose-built to save those buildings and became a sort of museum of the whole Foundling movement. We got involved in the project because it was the subject of a Heritage Lottery grant, and it wasn't really open to the public in the way that it is now. You could go there and you could go around it and you could see things. They have a huge collection of stuff that is not on the site here but kept in storage,
right,
such as these tokens and artworks and all sorts of other valuable pieces that couldn't be displayed to the public. So the project that we got involved with was to refurbish this building, change it and adapt it to become a museum, and to do two things. It was also a museum for the public to come in and hear about the Foundling story, to save for the nation some of these valuable interiors that existed in this building that hadn't been looked after for many years, to make it accessible, and also for it to be an education centre. On the top floor, up here, this is the Handel Centre. That's where all the Handel memorabilia is, because there's a guy called Gerald Cook, who was the trustee of the Foundling Museum, who collected all this Handel stuff. And there's original scores, there's Handel's will, there's all sorts of things that have been saved for the nation in this private collection, which scholars who are Handel scholars can go and see, and you can go and make an appointment to see it. But there is an element of it open to the public.
Right.
So that's the sort of
That's
belt through of it. There's
a few things I don't think we uncovered.
Okay, this is the great man. That's Thomas Coram. His painting hangs in the picture gallery.
Yeah. He was 70 years old before he even started doing this work.
I don't know whether he was that old, but he was. I think he was younger before he started that, because he made his fortune fairly quickly when he came back. But there's plenty of books and stuff you can get on the net that will tell you exact dates. But this is the actual Foundling Hospital, and like I say, it had trustees and it had patrons, and these are the girls being inspected. They were all brought out for the dukes and duchesses, and they would go and inspect the girls, and you can see they all had. And when we did the project, there were still Foundlings alive who had been through the Foundling movement, and we interviewed them. And if you go in, I don't know whether the interior, including the ceiling, the fireplace, the picture, the doors, the panelling and everything, was taken out of the museum when it was demolished and put into this building. This was purpose-built to house it. So this interior, the reason that the building is listed, it's not because the building itself, when you look at it from the front, is particularly interesting, it's because of what's inside it.
Sure.
Now, when we did our work on the restoration of this, we did an awful lot of investigation, because nobody really knew how this room was decorated when it was in the Foundling Hospital, because it had been redecorated millions of times and layers of paint. So what we did was we did paint analysis on the walls, and these pictures here, these are pictures of other hospitals that were painted at the time, and they're actually fixed to the walls. So when we took these off, on the back of these pictures we found some paint from the original wall, and we discovered that it was this green colour.
Okay.
And we also discovered from further paint analysis that this is a dado rail, or the dado rail running through here. The colour of the paint below that was white, and that was quite significant because when we came to this, all of this had been painted deep red, and the whole room was deep red, and the doors were green or something, so it was completely different. So it was restored through a sort of careful analysis of paint and records and archives, and an understanding of what was done in other buildings at the time, of how these rooms would have appeared. So their restoration is true to what it would have been like when it was. So this is the courtroom. This is where the trustees of the Foundling Museum, or the patrons of the museum at the time, would have sat and made their decisions,
Okay.
or held court.
I mean, the ceiling is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
How to.
Yep. Well, we had to save the ceiling because it was also dropping.
Was it?
Yeah. And the other thing that we had to do was to integrate safety lighting and picture lighting and security measures without interfering with the fabric. And from a designer's point of view, I don't know whether I've got a picture of it. I don't know whether it's in this one. No, because all of this was carefully, again, some repair work was necessary to this ceiling. Where's that? Where is it? Maybe it's in there. You can't really see it. We had, over the top of the door, we had smoke sensors and little things that you can't really see, but there are little, if you look carefully, there are little plastic things that hang down in certain positions, and they're smoke detectors.
Okay.
So we had to integrate all that fire safety strategy.
In a more aesthetic, pleasing way.
Yeah. Let's have a look at this. Right, that's a plan of the building. That's that room we just were in. The other thing we did that's interesting about this project is it's naturally ventilated. So we used a very clever system of natural ventilation by using the fireplaces to draw air through the spaces to keep them cool and naturally ventilated without using high tech and air conditioning and sealing it all up. So we could save a lot of the fabric by doing that. So that's the courtroom there. So this is a plan at first floor. This is the picture gallery, which I'll show you in a minute. So that's the art gallery, the first ever purpose-made picture gallery that also was saved from the museum. This is a little ante-room, and this is obviously a lobby between the two. And that staircase is one of the staircases from the original building as well. So that's a very important Georgian staircase, and I'll show you some stuff about that in a minute. But that was recreated. So this whole bit here on this floor is pretty much saved from the original building, and then was obviously put within this sort of Georgian, mock Georgian facade.
So the shape of this building is kind of determined by the sort of rooms that were saved?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, The other interesting thing is that we filled in, there was a light well there.